City of Richmond becoming a prime target for gun violence.
Richmond.
City of Richmond was known as one of the most dangerous cities in the Bay Area, if not the country.
And this is the For Our Future Podcast. Let's keep Richmond moving forward.
Hey everybody, welcome once again to the FOF podcast. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you're joining us back, I said it right? I said it right? Yeah, I could have said it better. Well, if you're back joining us, thank you again for your continued support. Now, tonight, we have a very, very special guest. But as we always do, we're going to keep that just, simmering for just a quick second. And we're going to do as we always do, we're going to introduce our panel. I and Jay, a.k.a. Johnny Longdays, a.k.a. Anonymous Iguana. That handsome devil over there is Insumma Ramirez. Insumma, my man, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm really excited to get the opportunity to pick our special guest's brain a little bit today. Let's see how that goes.
We shall see. And our another regular panel host, Miss Deanna, the lovely D.
Hey. Thanks for the intro, Jay. So if you're new, thank you everybody for tuning in. We're excited to have this guest out. This guest is super active in the community. So why don't you get that intro going, Jay?
Absolutely. So tonight, the man of the hour, the man of the night, Richmond native, poet, teacher, author. This man wears many hats. Okay. So with no further ado, we have Mr. TJ Sykes. TJ, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing really good. I'm just happy to be here right now.
We're happy to have you. Very, very happy to have you. As we always do, we like to give just a little bit of information about yourself to our guests and to our viewers. So could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and explain yourself, all the details, everything that you want to say to our friendly viewers over here.
All right, I got you. Like you said, my name is TJ Sykes. I'm from Richmond, California. I've stayed in Richmond most of my life. I went to Steege Elementary School, Portland Middle School, and graduated from El Cerrito High School in 2010. I've been working at Rise Center since 2015, working with a lot of young Richmond youth, ages like 12 to like 21. That's some of what I've been doing. I really started writing poetry in like 2015, and I've just been growing from there.
Nice.
Very, very nice.
Mm-hmm. Did the Rise Center kind of spark that, itch for poetry?
Not spark, it added on to it. I was already writing before I started going back to Rise, because I went to Rise when I was younger, when I was in high school, but I had stopped going because as a young person, I jumped around a lot, so I went to a lot of different community centers throughout Richmond. That's why I still know a lot of people from all over Richmond. I went to Martin Luther King Center, Nevin Center, Richmond Powell, and so
Richmond Powell. Got a lot of good memories of Richmond Powell.
The King Center, though, that's
King
not
Center,
even there
rest
anymore.
in peace, man.
Oh yeah, rest in peace for sure.
That's the real one right there.
They said they was gonna rebuild it. We ain't seen it since. Man.
Still waiting on it.
It's crazy, man. So really just bounce around a lot, and I was one of those kids that wanted to hang out, but when it was time to sign up as a member, I'm gone. So yeah.
Okay. I think we've all done that in the Richmond community. I mean, there's a few times where like it gets to that point where like when it gets real, it's like deuces. I have to do what now? Oh, wow. Yeah. So you're not the only one for sure.
Now I get the other hand So now I'm trying to sign young people up, and they just like, no, adios.
Yeah, TJ and I just had a brief conversation about that, about having our resources right here. We were talking about the studio that, we are very thankful to have, thanks to Mike, shout out Mike, and La Sagrada Familia. And we were saying, back then we had a lot of different resources, but we just didn't commit to it. We just didn't get involved because the best thing back then was like hanging out at home doing nothing for some reason. But it's kind of tricky trying to reverse engineer that to get our youth involved. So I feel you on that one.
For sure.
Yeah, so I mean, our very humble guest didn't really dive into a lot of the things that he has going on.
Indeed, yeah.
But I have a couple things here on hand that I wanted to just showcase really quickly because, we want to make sure that he gets an opportunity to showcase his stuff. And one is his book, Section 8, which is a really cool book that I suggest you check out if you haven't already. TJ.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about this book here?
All right, for sure. Section 8 is my first book, my first ever published book. It was published December 2019. And the way that it came about was I created a poem. That was one of the first poems that I had wrote around that time that I was really, really happy about. I had just started really getting into being open to receive feedback on my writing and really understanding the importance of receiving feedback and criticism on writings and things like that. And so I had read it to two of my coworkers, and they actually had the idea of creating a book out of it. And I was just like, all right, let's get it. And so it was like a year process. Like one of my coworkers was working with me, and then he moved back to Santa Cruz. So we just stayed in communication about the project. And I send them a lot of different pictures because majority of those pictures inside of the book is pictures of me and my family. And so I sent him a lot of text messages with pictures, and he was like, man, people think I'm stalking you because I got pictures all up in my room of you, and I'm really trying to get the visuals together. And so like after that year process, he had all of the images ready, and then we put the book together. We pretty much stumbled through it. Neither one of us had ever published a book before, so yeah, we pretty much stumbled through it and got it together. And then February 16th, 2019. So that was December 2018. February 16th, 2019 was the book release. Yeah,
I know, I don't know if this is public news yet, but something else may be in the works.
Oh yeah, something else is in the works.
All right. I don't want to give it away.
Are we gonna drop it on Potty Waddy?
Man, it might be too exclusive. I gotta wait for that one. But man, I think that's really cool that you created your own book, and that's something that I look forward to trying to do one day. So I might gotta check with you a little bit more later,
for sure,
and get some of the ins and outs, because I'm sure you learned some things doing that.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And so within that book, you'll read about my lived experience in low-income housing, some of the things that I've seen, some of the stories that I've heard, and some of the people that I've lost. Because there is a dedication section in the back where it lists a lot of different people that passed away that I was very close with their birthdays and their death dates.
Well, that's very powerful. Very, very powerful. What kind of things, if you care to share, are some of the things that influenced or that continue to influence you now in your writing and your poetry?
Some of the things are exactly that. The people that I lost along this journey, the people that I imagined that would still be here with me, the people that I couldn't imagine living without, but I had to. And so those are some of the people who influenced me to continue to go and do what I need to do. My siblings most definitely are always like a driving force between everything I do. I just really, especially my youngest brother, that like that's a person that I always see myself doing this work for. Like I just wanted him to see me doing something good and me being able to be a positive person in his eyes, because I showed him the other side, and now I just wanted to show them a different side. And throughout my family and friends, we got the other side majority of the time, and so I just always wanted to show them something different.
Mm-hmm. And looking through the book, you know, and living and growing up in Richmond myself, I can relate to a lot of the traumatizing experiences that a lot of people go through just growing up here. And so I can see that some of that inspired you in your book. And one of the main things we wanted to talk about today was self-care and the journey of self-love. And so, you know, how do you think writing a book like this may have helped you with that journey?
Not only writing that book, but just writing in general, being able to get my thoughts out of my head into reality on a paper or on a microphone or just talking to someone has helped me not only be able to express myself, but build relationships, like lifelong relationships with people. It has improved my not only my relationship building skills, but my networking skills. Wherever I go, I talk to random people, and yeah, it's just like spark a conversation about anything. One time I was in Santa Cruz and I walked into a skate shop and I started talking about skiing. I ain't never been skiing, I ain't never been snowboarding, but had a full conversation with about 30 minutes with this man that I've never met. And yeah, just really just expressing myself, man. And it's been a dope journey. I've been in different rooms that I never thought I would be in. My name been brought up in different rooms that I wasn't in physically. And so, yeah, it's been a blessing ever since I started writing.
That's powerful, man. Writing can definitely, I can definitely relate to that and understand that. Something else I wanted to highlight really quick that we didn't get a chance to earlier is the divine treats. I don't know if you can see it very good on the cameras with the glare, but tell me a little bit about the inspiration. Tell me a little bit about the inspiration for coming up with this and how that came about.
Got you. So the inspiration for that is this. We was in the midst of the pandemic. I was working 2 jobs, and I was just like, man, bro, like I want to be an entrepreneur. Like, you know, I want to be my own boss. And so I was working at Rye Center, but I was also working at Naturally Herbs on McDonald. And so the owner of the shop, he showed me how to make the chocolate flavored walnuts. And he only showed me one time. And so after that, I went home and I made them. And I created a recipe, because when he didn't show me no recipe. It was kind of like, you know, like if your grandma give you a recipe and it's kind of like, put a little bit of this, put a little bit of that. And I was like, all right, for sure. I had that down, but I had to create my own recipe so I know when I make it, I want it to taste just like this every time. And so I made it, and then I started selling them in the shop, and they didn't sit on the shelf for too long.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, now what's next? And I'm like, I got to create another flavor. And so now I'm at 5 flavors. I started with a different bag. It was like a tan bag. It was kind of like an off tan color. I was like, this don't pop enough for me, so let me make it pop. So let me get some gold bags. And I didn't have that sticker at first. I didn't have a logo at first, and so I was like, I need a logo. I got a logo. And that logo is actually a image I'm using in my next book. So I had a young person create that image from a poem that I created, and I paid the young person for her art. And then her mama actually came in the shop. She was like, you need to do something with that painting. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna do something with it. Boop, it's a logo. So yeah, I mean, you know, because when we share ideas, depending on who we share our ideas with, they can help them grow or they can help them shrink. And so
That's true. It seems like you're very open to trying new stuff. Were you always like that when you were younger?
No.
So what was the catalyst for that?
I was very close-minded as a young person. I'm gonna keep it real. Like I said, I used to always run from the centers when they asked me to sign up. So I would say different like life-changing opportunities that came my way that I didn't decline is what like opened my mind to trusting the process. It was things like that that came up for me. It was like people that I trusted saying that to me, trust the process, be open-minded, things like that. And so I forget what year it was. I believe it was 2014, 2015. Before I started working for Rise Center, I was working for the Watershed Project. I don't know if y'all ever heard of that. Yeah, so I was me and 3 of my partners. We was like the first interns for the Watershed Project when they first came to Richmond. So we planted over 500 trees in Richmond. We maintained the bioswale on 6th Street for like 2 years straight. And so one time it was, I don't know if y'all ever heard of Sarah Calderon. She was the executive director at Richmond Trees. And so, no, Groundwork Richmond, my bad, Groundwork Richmond. And so she had came and she presented this opportunity. She was like, we need someone to represent our organization in Texas. And I was just like, Texas, I ain't never been on no plane. And they were like, we're going to pay for the flight. We're going to pay for a sleeping bag. We're going to pay for this. We're going to pay for that.
Bag. Whoa, hold up. She couldn't put you up in a hotel or? Nah,
bro, let me tell you.
Go ahead, break it down.
Man, this was a life-changing experience. And still to the day, I'm like, man, I can't believe I was open to doing that.
Yeah.
So she's like, you want to take it? I'm like, yeah. So boom, I go to Texas, man. We in the middle of San Antonio, Texas. In a tent, 20 degrees, and it's raining.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that was something that it changed my life, bro. Like, I met people from all over the country. People from New Orleans, people from DC, people from parts of New York I ain't never heard of. I can't even remember. Yonkers, New York. Like, I had never heard of that. I'm like, what is that? And so it was so life changing, and those are folks that we don't have to talk every day, but when I see them, it's like it's love, because that's the relationship that we built during that time, and we was in a place where none of us knew that place. And so yeah, that was one of the things. Finally moving out of my neighborhood after so long to a different space that was still in Richmond, but it just wasn't my neighborhood. That was something else that made me more open-minded. Because for so long I was stuck mentally there, and feeling like we was the only ones that was struggling, and forget them over there, them the suckers, all of that. And then when I moved, started to just understand a different side of Richmond and a different from a different perspective.
So, I mean, speaking of life-changing experiences, what is it that really inspired you to start teaching, start working at Rise? I know that was a pivotal part of it all. What really made you make that jump?
In the beginning, it was more of like I wanted to transition from the job that I was doing, because I had been doing it for a minute and planting hella trees. I wasn't getting paid a lot of money, but I really enjoyed planting trees. I felt like that was me giving back to Mother Earth, being able to plant trees, creating more oxygen in Richmond.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you to clarify that us being from Richmond, planting trees could probably be.
Creating.
Man, I was over here planting trees all over Richmond. I'm sure everybody's like, where?
You
still there?
Planting actual trees, like it's a tree called a strawberry tree, which actually has edible fruit that you can eat, that I just recently found out, actually, because my partner was eating it at his house. I'm like, bro, I used to plant them. I ain't never ate those though. And so he was like, nah, bro, they edible. These are actual strawberries. I'm like, oh, okay. I ain't never ate that. I'm cool. I passed still. And so yeah, strawberry trees, oak trees, redwood trees, those type of trees.
Gotcha. Very good.
So today's episode, we really wanted to dive into self-love and, listening to your poetry and some of the things that you've been doing between meditation and some of the other projects you've been working on. what are some of the things you do to help practice self-love? Obviously, writing helps you. What are some other practices that you like to incorporate in your lifestyle?
And also, what does it mean to you particularly? So, like, say what it means to you and then examples of what it is.
All right, give me an example of what you're saying, because I'm confused a
So,
little bit.
like self-love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people know if they're getting in an argument, they need to take a minute. Maybe they don't want to be away from their mom or dad, whoever they're arguing with. But okay, I know for myself, I need to recognize what's going on. I need to chill. I need to maybe go take a walk, clear my head. So
Gotcha.
something similar to that. And why is it important?
All right, I got you. All right, so for me, one of the things I do is just breathe. And
Something very simple, very powerful, very essential.
And that's important to me because what I learned is that our breath, it really supports the way that our brain functions. And the way that you can, for me, no one had to convince me of that after I started breathing more deeply throughout the day. It was just, you can feel it. Like you can feel oxygen going to your brain when you take a deep breath. And so that's what that specific thing mean to me. Meditation is for me the way that I connect not only with ancestors, but also the universe and also myself, because all of these things are within me. What else? Reading is so important to me. To read all type of things. I've read parts of the Bible. I've listened to different motivational speakers. I read about the laws of attraction. I really read about anything. I read about this book. It was talking about how the brain works and the development of the brain, and it's just interesting. There's a lot of different things that's interesting to me.
Yeah. I really like the breathe one because it's so simple, but sometimes people overcomplicate it. And I know we were leading free life skills workshops for the community at CoBiz, and that's when TJ actually dropped by one of the classes and helped lead a breathing exercise for some of the participants. And that was a really cool exercise that he led, and so I could totally see how he incorporates that and how he utilizes that.
And one thing that I often think about, especially now with kids and how they're growing up, it being a very different generation from my generation, of course. Self-love is something many people struggle with, and I think they struggle with it a little bit more, I think, because they're often having to fit an image, whether it be an Instagram image, a magazine, or what have you. How can people, at least in your opinion, how can they break away from the mindset to be more at peace about their own situation?
Got you. For me, I think the piece of self-love that I always had and wasn't able to recognize it for a while was that I never cared about fitting in. Like I might try to do something with the group, but it wasn't like, if this doesn't work, then everything is over. Like I don't want to, And so I noticed that at a young age that I was a leader, but I didn't really know what it meant. And so I noticed that whenever I would connect or build a relationship with someone, it would be another person that had leadership skills. And so like if it was a certain group of people that I was around, it was somebody who I was connected with was the leader of this group, whether that was in school or whether that was in the streets. And so what I would say to folks is get comfortable with not fitting in. There are millions and billions of people in this world, that feel like they don't fit in. And if you feel that way, create your own group of people that feel like they don't fit in. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
That was well said.
Yeah.
Well, very well said.
I think he's taking our complex questions and making it just into simple sort of ways of, because I mean, breathe, right? Like to me, I was going like completely left. You know, I was thinking like, all right, let's go ahead and do this, do that, do this, and I'm like, wait, I forgot to breathe to even begin with. And you know, just now, if you don't fit in, don't make your own group, man. Screw them.
It's so
you know,
funny. Like going back to the breathing thing, I actually got that lesson today. It's so funny. Like I was talking to my suegra, right? So my boyfriend's mom, and she's like, okay, you know, I know my son, whenever you guys get into an argument, I do this with my husband. Take a second, count to 10, breathe through it. Don't say things that you're going to regret, because that's going to affect you in the long run. I'm like, dang, like it's the same thing. And it's so funny. I'm hearing it today, but it's so true. Like, breathe. I need to practice that. I need to breathe myself, because I don't always breathe. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It clicks. You know, I don't know.
yeah, it's
so
something
funny.
we're all capable of too, and it's so simple.
It's
but
so
we always forget. I forget. I forget sometimes, and I get heated.
Yeah.
And but TJ, right before we get more into it, Maggie asks, where can she find Section 8? Is it online only, just for our viewers, so that they can have access to it?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. You can find it at lulu.com. That's where I self-publish through that website. So you can find it there. But Naturally Herbs sells copies of Section 8 as well here in Richmond on McDonald Avenue. Right. And then I was going to say one more thing about breathing. I breathe through everything. So when I get on the plane, I'm breathing because I be nervous. And
what about underwater?
Underwater?
I got you there.
I ain't been underwater in a minute. I can't wait to swim though. I ain't gonna lie. I like swimming. I can't wait to go to the water park. But yeah, like on the plane, before I get on the plane, I breathe and I pray, because I've never really liked flying, but I was like, well, I'm not gonna be driving across the country every time I want to go to Atlanta or I want to go to New York. So I had to get through that. Roller coasters, I really just started riding roller coasters like a year ago, and I was like, man, breathe through that. Did zip lining, I was like, man, I gotta breathe through this.
Man, so that's a good tool. You gotta put it to use sometimes.
Yeah, especially yoga too. I do yoga, so when you do yoga,
it's all about breathing. Huh?
If you don't breathe, you gonna be toe up in there.
What are some self-care activities that you two do, Jay, Diana? Is there something that you do, that you practice?
Self-care activities? Let's see. Well, self-affirmations, I think we touched upon that on one of our earlier podcasts for this season. Self-love, exercising. I continuously do exercising. It tires me out, to be completely honest, and it's kind of a weird thing, because it tires my body out and it relaxes my mind. You know, so that's two things that are kind of common that most people do, but I religiously try to do that. Or if I ever drop off from exercising or anything like that, I actively try to get back into it because of that same reason.
No, I totally relate. Yeah. Actually, today was my first day back in the gym.
Oh God!
After a long break, you know, I got that nice vaccine and all that, so I'm actually back in the gym.
What gym are you going to?
I went to Planet Fitness.
Okay.
They got a new one over in San Pablo next to Food Max. So it was pretty empty in there, and it was good. It was a good experience. I was feeling great to be back in the gym and get some exercise. My body really craved it. And like you were saying, your mind actually gets some benefit out of it too. Honestly, I think the mind and the body are so related. And so if you're not treating the body right, then the mind's not going to be in a good space either. That's something I personally believe deeply. And so I think that my body needed that exercise and felt really good.
I enjoy like going on a run or doing like a quick at-home workout, but if it's not that, this might sound superficial, but I love either getting my nails done or like a massage or something. That to me is like relaxing, you know, all the worries melt away. And playing with my cat too.
Funny, so your cat switched governments recently.
Yeah. Okay. Quick update, everybody. Tiguerita.
We mentioned her before.
Yes, Tiguerita, my cat, my basically my child. I took him to get fixed, and when he was getting fixed, they're like, "Hey, just so you know, Tiguerita isn't Tiguerita. You might want to change it, Tiguerito. She's a boy, so now it's Tiguerito."
Kind of a funny story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was hilarious, man. I mean,
Plot twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
I went and I told my auntie the story, and she was like, "You know what? I don't think I've ever checked the cat's you know,
hard.
equipment." And I was like,
see.
"Yeah, I think I've never done it. I wouldn't know how to check, where to check. Well, I know where to check, but I wouldn't know what to look for, you know, or what it looks like." So I don't blame you though, but I mean that's hilarious to me. That kind of stuff you can't make that up.
So do you still call
Right.
Tiguerita, or do you call it Tiguerito now?
I know. I call him so. For short,
Now the cat
it's
confused.
Nito.
Nito.
Nito, yeah. So Tiguerito is Nito now. So yeah, it's a Nito. We ended with the O now.
How did the end come with Nito?
Because my boyfriend's son Gianni can't. He's 4. He just turned 4, so he can't pronounce Tiguerito. So he says Nito. So then that's why that name just stuck. That's like his name now.
That's
yeah.
cool.
Nito.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like what having you here, a lot of people. Well, obviously you guys, the viewers, can't see this, but TJ right now is just as cool as a cucumber. Like I'm getting like some like real chill vibes from him. But kind of what you do. As far as being a poet, being an author is something that requires just a lot of passion. What are some of the things, or maybe some of the influences that guides that passion onto a piece of paper or onto a microphone?
Got you. Everything, life. So mostly when I first started writing, it was really from a place of pain, a place of like, damn, I've been having these things on my mind for a long time, or I got some stuff that I've experienced that I want to write down and I want to share. Really just being exposed to the word vulnerability and really knowing like what it means for me. And it just means for me to speak my truth wherever I go. And if people can't accept my truth, then those people aren't for me. So that, and really just being around a lot of dope artists that I felt was like doper than me, and I didn't feel like it was a competition, but it was just like a challenge for me. It's like, all right, well, I see that such and such is putting out this much work. I might not want to put out the same amount of work, but I do want to produce more. I do want to be able to get my point across with less words. So those are some of the things that I learned how to do during my writing process. Is like, because when I first started writing, I was just writing all my thoughts out on the paper. So it'd be like 2-3 pages full of stuff. It was like, what is this? It's like a story. And so I learned to start like taking some certain words out because you don't need it all the time, and just getting straight to the point to where people was like, ooh, I feel that. In a couple of the lines, they're like, yeah, I feel that already. Keep going. Where you gonna go with it next? Yeah, and then just some of the dope artists that I was around. I don't know if y'all know Dante Clark, DeAndre Evans, Sierra Gordon, Naya Binga, Denise Robinson. Like, these are some dope poets that I was around and was able to learn from. They all got different styles, and so being able to be like, oh wow, she sung on a part and then started a poem. Just being able to get different ideas, different concepts. But it got to the point where I was just starting to create poems off a small conversation that I met or that I had with someone. Like, it'll be a small interaction, like somebody walked past me one day and said, I hate the rain. And then I wrote a poem about rain. I had caught eye contact with this girl when I was eating one time, and I wrote a poem about that. I was just like, I wonder what she thinking in her head, like, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I just started just going crazy. I'm like, oh, I can just go crazy with this. I can write about anything. So, yeah.
Definitely sounds like you got some inspiration from a little bit of everywhere. And the truth, when you talked about living your truth, that's something that resonates with me. I think that's really important, and the most powerful thing that you can do is speak your truth, and be authentically you. So when you were younger versus now, do you feel like there was a growth or certain experiences that helped you to understand that, or do you feel like you were always that way and you always knew like that truth will set you free?
Was it like one situation where you were like, now I feel comfortable being me? You know what I mean?
I think I was always comfortable being myself. I don't think I was always confident though. I think that, yeah, I will always walk as me, but I wasn't just, yeah, I don't know, I wasn't that sure. And now it's more like, I know who I am. Like, like, man, like part of this self-care work for me is being able to wake up every day and look myself in the mirror and be like, all right, I know you had some flaws. I know like you've made some mistakes, but I love the person that I see in the mirror. And so I don't think I've ever looked in the mirror and not love the person that I've seen. So yeah.
That's that self-love right there.
And I know a lot of people probably feel differently. They probably look in the mirror and they're not so happy with what they see or the way they feel.
There's been times where I've been in that position where you know I can truthfully say, man, like I'm not happy with who I am. You know, a lot of times when I was growing up, I was very uncomfortable with the things that I like. You know, like I was raised in a house full of women. I didn't reign supreme with the stereo, so I listened to a lot of NSYNC and then Backstreet Boys, and I ended up liking it at a very young age. You know, I mean they make good music, you know, but you know, but like,
I was messing with the Backstreet Boys,
you know,
sure.
But like as a kid though, as a young man, like, you know, I had to sort of hide that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know that, you know, speaking to what Summer said, there's a lot of people at certain phases in their life, maybe even to this point, that struggle with that. You know, I know I did for sure. I mean, I love anime, I still do. Now I don't give a hoot, you know. Like now I find more people open up to it, like, you know, like Deanna's boyfriend Chewy, like, you know. I can't wait to have that conversation. Now I'm way more open. Now I'm looking forward to talking about it. You know, back then I was like, nah, I don't, you know, nah, I don't see that.
It's kind of like what I said earlier in terms of like finding the right people to be around. You feel me? Because it's people that's just like you, that feel just like that, and once you break that ice, then that's probably a person that you probably gonna have deep conversations with for the rest of your life. I had a deep conversation when I went to Texas with this brother that I had never met, but I was just like, damn, that was a dope ass conversation with a person that was listening with compassion and really trying to understand where I came from, even though we probably didn't relate on a like cultural level, you know what I mean?
So I know like some young people struggle with, you know, loving who they are. And like for me, like I went to the gym today, like I mentioned earlier. You know, that kind of helped think about some things, help get some good exercise for yourself, for your mind, but also your body starts, you know, changing, looking good and stuff too. Are there any like practices like that you can do for your mind? Like I know some people do affirmations or self-talk. You know, maybe they just pump yourself up in the mirror. like you see in the shows, looking in the mirror, having that conversation.
I have that, that scene from the Little Giants where the little guy goes, "I'm a pump you up."
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I gotta watch that
Little
movie
Giants.
again. It's been a minute.
Man, it's a good movie.
So is there anything that you all do? Anything you do, TJ, that kind of like helps cultivate that?
Well, yeah, I have this black man on my wall with an afro, and he has no face, but he have affirmations all over his body. So his face actually say "I am," and then it's intelligent, strong, powerful. And so sometimes when I meditate in front of that. Listening to different motivational speakers, just be like, and then really looking back on my life and looking at the accomplishments that I have accomplished already. I actually got this wall in my house where it's like awards and certificates and my graduation, my diploma, and sometimes I just sit on my couch and I look at that wall and I'm just like, man, bro,
Where did you graduate from, TJ?
El Cerrito.
EC.
Yeah,
EC now.
EC Gaucho. It was 2010, man.
Mm-hmm.
Where y'all graduated from?
I'm an Eagle.
You got Kennedy.
I'm a Don.
She's a Don.
Don, what's Don?
Deanza.
Deanza. Oh,
Don.
okay.
And then Leslie over there, a producer, is a Oiler.
Yeah.
Hey, Richmond.
Richmond in the house.
I was fired up when Coach Carter came out. I was like, man.
Yeah, they switched the teams up, huh? The basketball team was like it was the Richmond Eagles and then the Kennedy Oilers. I'm not sure if anybody noticed that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I caught it.
I didn't see that.
Cause I played
so long.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Because I played soccer, in soccer, Richmond and Kennedy were huge rivals. So that's the first thing I caught. I was like, they switched it up on us.
Damn.
Yeah.
Only thing they really had was the school in there. Anyway, I didn't recognize nothing else really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was just the story really that they adapted.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do know that movie and like associate Richmond with that movie anytime they from Richmond. Oh, Rich what? Like, don't nobody say that.
Like, I don't know where they got that from. They got that from Samuel Jackson.
Yeah,
Then you got that from Sammy
like,
J.
That's how you know, be like,
Yeah, you ain't. Not from over here. Yeah.
That's so funny.
I don't know if that was a thing back when they made, back then.
I don't think so.
Nah, that wasn't that long ago.
Ain't
I don't think I
around.
ever heard that.
I haven't heard that, except in the movie. But people be like, "Oh yeah, I saw that movie."
Yeah,
Rich
Rich
are you from
what?
Richmond? Rich what? You be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
None of our sports teams said that.
So you said in your room, you kind of have like a inspiration wall. You mentioned, right? What about everyone else? Do you have any mantras, by the way?
Any mantras? Nah, it's interesting because when I write, if I like read over the things that I write, I can remember it, but certain stuff I can't remember. So I do have a lot of different mantras that I use. We actually have one for our yoga class, but I cannot remember it at this moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
But once you see like the first two words will be like, I got the whole thing down. Yeah, I feel like I'm the exact same way. I'm visual
Yeah,
person,
I'm like,
visual learning, visual. Let's see. Do I have anything? I don't think I have anything special. D?
I feel like I have them for different situations. So it just depends on the situation. So like, let's say, sometimes you want to tell somebody something because they're in front of you, but then there's people around. I heard like this great saying, or I guess in my head it's a mantra because I repeat it. It's a praise in public, correct in private. So I really try to like live by that. Like, let's say if I want to tell somebody something, I like look at the situation. Okay, probably it's not a good time right now. So it doesn't always work, but I really try to stick to it. So like, this isn't a good time right now. I can tell them in a separate time and a separate space, but anything good, I like try to tell them in front of people, So
Yeah.
I guess this one.
Kind of like I want to tell someone right now that he's looking buff. You know what I mean? Like he's looking a little buffer than he did yesterday.
Just one workout, that'll do it.
But is it appropriate? You know what I mean? So
Not in 2021. But it's good, you know.
All right.
You gotta be careful in the workplace. Is this a workplace? I don't know. That's a lot of questions.
I call it Twilight Zone.
What about you? What is your mantra?
I don't necessarily have a mantra, but I have a quote that I love, and it's Jackie Robinson quote. And Jackie Robinson Day is coming up. Those of you who are MLB fans, all the players, every team in the MLB league is gonna wear the number 42. So you can't really tell who is who sometimes, but that's all right because you could tell how important it was that Jackie Robinson, you know, broke the color line in the MLB and helped, you know, desegregate the Major League Baseball. But he has a quote, and it's, "A life is not important except in its impact on other lives." And for me, that's like something I try to live by, and it's really important for me. And so anything and everything I do, I try to keep that in mind as much as possible. Yeah. So it kind of helps dictate the way I move and the way I do things. And like with that, it's kind of like when I was younger, I would be more impressed by like, you know, cool car or, you know, the women or things like that.
Throwback jersey,
you know. But you get older, or I've gotten older, and the things that I've kind of looked up to more is how people treat people. And if you're someone who uplifts and empowers people, then like, wow, like you're a good person. You're someone who I admire and who's somebody who I want to be around. You know, not necessarily you got the most, because that's not necessarily gonna say or dictate whether you're a good person in my perspective. But you know, that doesn't mean that you didn't earn what you've got or anything like that. But that's just something that I live by, is life is not important except in its impact in other lives, and that's all that goes with it for me.
And I can attest, and I'm sure Dee can attest it. You actually really do live up to that, you know. So what you see is what you get within Selmo. You know, he does it from his heart, and he really does live up to that quote, to Jackie Robinson's quote. So that's
appreciate that.
Yeah. You know, whenever, you know, every now and then I can give you a compliment, right?
It means a lot. Yeah, but you can do it more often. It's all right.
It wouldn't be as special.
But man, I think I appreciate that for real, because I think like sharing those type of praises is important too. Like letting people know, like, I appreciate you. You're doing well. You're doing this. It's important.
I thought of some mantras while I was talking.
We gave you some time. It was all planned, TJ. Yeah.
All right, so one of the mantras that I live by is "I am because we are." Have y'all ever heard of that? And so what that means to me is that I am because I am connected to my ancestors. That means that I am because right in this moment I'm connected with y'all, and if even one of these energies was missing, it wouldn't be the same energy here right now. And so that and then I am my brothers and sisters keeper. So yeah, just making sure that anybody that I call my loved one, I have their back to the best of my ability, but also just being intentional about making sure that I got my own back first. So yeah, making sure that I'm not pouring into someone from an empty cup or a half empty cup. Making sure that I'm intentional about making sure my cup is full or overflowing, and then being able to support other folks.
Gotcha. Get that self-love right before you start to spread.
That's so important too, because I feel like, you know, it's not people's fault. Like sometimes they just have big hearts, they just want to be generous, but when you're not right within yourself, it's really hard to give that like energy and put in that time and that work to other people. You know, it's like, it's good that you care about other people, but you can't crumble, because it's you at the end of the day, you know. So it's really important that, you know, TJ mentioned that for sure.
So one thing, a part of my self-care is declining calls and text messages at times, because it's just like you know, for the most part, if this is a person that you speak to daily or weekly, you know what type of energy they're gonna present you with, and you know before you answer the call if you want to engage with that energy, and just be mindful. That's what I would say to folks: be mindful of how you feel after you interact with a person, because that's the way that'll tell you what type of energy that they have. and what type of energy you leaving with after, you know, engaging with them. So if it's like you feeling good and then you talk to this person and now it's like, damn, I'm tired a little bit, I need to take a nap. It's like this person might be draining your energy, and that's a real life vampire. And not to say that people do it on purpose, because everybody not aware of that. You know what I mean? But it's your job to bring it to their attention. It's like, bro, every time I talk to you, I be sleepy, I be mad, I'm angry when I get off the phone with you. I want to go fight somebody. Like, bro, I'm cool. I'm gonna have to text you. Like, you know what I mean? For real.
Yeah, no, I think that's some really good information right there. Because I know some people probably feel obligated.
Yeah.
Oh, this is my brother, I gotta answer. But you know, if you're not right, it may not be good for anybody. You may be doing more harm than good. But I think that was a good one. And speaking of love, when we put out the flyer and stuff that we're gonna be doing this podcast, we got a lot of love, people saying a lot of great things about you, TJ, sharing all kinds of love. And man, so you got a lot of love out there. But earlier, before we started, I did ask you if we could get, you know it's coming, a little piece of poetry. And if you still feel up to it, if it's a good time, I think it would be.
Yeah.
Is there a better time? No, this is it. All right. Well,
This is it.
if you wanted to introduce a piece, tell us a little bit about it and go into it. The floor is yours.
All right, I got you. Yeah, this piece is called Free at Last. So I created this piece for an organization called I forget what that was called. I forget the name of the organization right now, but it's an organization that work with folks that are incarcerated. And
Safe Return Project.
no, not that one.
Is it Innocence Project?
Yes, the Innocence Project. So they was paying me and two of my folks to come perform at the gala, and they asked me to create a poem based on a person who was incarcerated wrongfully. And so yeah, I created this piece and then I performed it at their gala, and it was crazy. I was up there, I was myself, I was sagging, I was pulling my pants up, had my hat to the back, everything. It was real Richmond in the building, and that's how I'm coming. So like, you know, for people who want me at their venue, just know this is how I'm coming. Like, if I don't feel like I gotta wear a suit, I ain't wearing no suit. Like, you feel me? If my hair ain't dead, my hair ain't dead. It is what it is, man. You know, cause I don't care if people want to see me a certain way. I don't care if you're not out here in the field with me. Like, you know what I mean? When it's time to pay rent, when I'm in a depressive state, like, you feel me? I don't care about what you think about how I should show up. So yeah, this the piece. You got a question before I start?
No.
All right.
No, we're ready. Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right. Wake up. You're free to go. Cuff wrists walking down long halls to be freed. 1,000 showers couldn't wash away these memories. Looking at all the faces that was never to be released, I return my blanket, pillow, and the sheets. I exit jumpsuit to enter the streets. Anxious to see the other side of them doors, I took a deep breath. Then proceed forward. Unchained, walking out them gates with a new perspective. The smell of fresh air and the sound of birds, I respect it. I see green grass and lemon trees, man, what's for breakfast? All these years behind bars for nothing. Time to get out in the world and be productive. Be a positive influence to the youth that seek direction. Missed calls, unread letters, and missed discussions. If only they knew how bad I want to reconstruct this. Reality of situation is I ain't done so I'm walking away from situation with repercussions. Whoever knew that I would be up in this jam? Without me, there was an incompleted fam. Now that I'm back, it's time to be present. I'ma move with aggression, head high to the heavens. Thank God it's a blessing.
Oh, that was so good.
Jesus.
I'll tell you what, like,
You know what? I'm out of here.
As soon as you started going, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was so visual.
Heck
You
yeah,
did
I
a
saw the
really good
whole
job.
thing.
Yeah, it was so visual.
And
I saw him coming out. I saw him walking through the. I saw him turning in his blanket. I saw him walking the
Smelling
walking
the
the
lemon
hall.
trees. Yeah.
Smelling the lemon trees. What's for breakfast? I saw him asking that in his head. What's for breakfast? That's crazy.
So when they gave me that, I'm like, all right, let me see what I'm gonna draw for. So I was really drawing from different experiences. I have a brother that's incarcerated that's doing 85 years to life. So I was kind of drawing from his experience of like going to his trial and watching him fight a trial and losing, and him being like, I'm not guilty the whole time throughout the whole trial. None of the quote unquote witnesses sat on the stand and pointed him out like that's the person that was there. And so just seeing that process, and then having my own experience with incarceration, being incarcerated at 16 for something that I really did not do. I was with some of my cousins and then having that experience, and then I was also incarcerated again when I was 18 years old, and so just a accumulation of all of those experiences.
Yeah, that was deep. That was deep for sure. And I definitely feel like, you know, you just turned Super Saiyan. I think Jay would get that one. Like, you know, when you just talking, you know, so super humble, laid back, and then you just turn it up during the poem. You know, when you recite the poetry, it's like, yeah.
Now I get it though. Now, you know, I'm not. Well, you know, I mentioned earlier in the show how I'm getting these chill vibes, but now listening to him actually speak what he does, now I see the passion. You know what I mean? Like now I see it. Now I'm putting those two together because having him here next to me, super chill. But once you got into that mode, you exuded that passion. You know, hopefully you guys caught that through the camera. It's obviously not the same through a lens, but you know, hopefully you guys caught on to that because I for sure did.
I was gone. I was like,
And, you know, every time I talk to TJ, it feels like we've known each other forever. I don't know if you feel that same way, but that's how I feel. So it just feels like, and not only that, like, I think Diana and Jay, they always think like, I've known you forever.
Yeah.
It's like,
True
it's
story.
just a vibe, you know? It's just like that. Yeah. But I think that
you sure
that
you didn't go to Kennedy? You sure you didn't go to Kennedy for?
No, I was always up there though.
yeah.
Like the centers. I used to go to all the centers. I used to be at all the schools. Like when I went to Portland, but my best friend went to Levian, so I would take the bus from Portland to Levian, and then we would walk back to the manor where I grew up at. And then when I went to El Cerrito, I would always go to Kennedy after school. So it was just.
You're right there. You're right behind us. Yeah, I used to go to the Nevin way back though. You did too, didn't you?
A little bit
ball,
more
bit out there.
More at the King Center, but or just the streets. But speaking of which, next month's cleanup is going to be at the Nevin Center. We do our monthly community cleanup.
Nice.
It's going to be there at the Nevin Center. It's going to be a big one.
It's going to be a huge one.
We got some special things in the works. I don't want to give too much, but the flyer's coming soon. We are winding down here on the show today. Should I hit them with some activities coming up?
Let's hit them with the activities. What do we have coming up with our...
So moving forward, you know, we just had a successful cleanup last Saturday. We have a couple of weeks where we're not going to be doing any events because we do our events every first and second Saturday of the month. But we have some friends at Reimagine Richmond. They have a lot going on this week. They're actually working on trying to get the city budget to reallocate some of the funds, and so that it's not so heavily poured into the police department. So if you're interested to get more information on that, and they're organizing and planning some events to try to get people the information. So tomorrow at 6 p.m., you can log into the Zoom. You can find the link to that in the bio at Reimagine Richmond on Instagram. Again, that's Reimagine Richmond. Check them out on Instagram, and you can get the Zoom information there, and you can tune in and share your opinion, get some information about this process that they're working on. And Marisol Cantu is the contact for us that we have from them, who is potentially going to
Potentially.
be a guest in the near future. So be on the lookout for that as well.
Yeah, and Marisol is involved in a bunch of different projects and stuff. So she's also a great person to get to know if you want to be involved in the community, whichever way you want to be involved. She's just another resource. You know, we are as well. So if you want to get involved in the community more, you know, you can hit us up. And she's also another person that you can hit up that has her hands in a bunch of different cookie jars in a good way, not in a bad way.
Still on my cookie.
Yeah, right. So this is, as Insomo had said, you know, we are winding down to the hour mark. This is usually the time where we give shout outs to TJ. We start usually on this right side, on our right side over here. Starting off with Insomo. Insomo, did you want to shout out anybody tonight?
As usual, I'm gonna shout out Lady. That's who handles all the social media stuff. And you know, honestly, I think she's been doing an amazing job. If you checked out the Moving Forward social media page lately, she's been really active on there, posting a lot of stuff. And so hopefully everyone at home, all the followers, are able to pick up and see like what we're trying to do. I think for a long time we didn't really do a great enough job of kind of showcasing the project. And so that's something we're working on. And so shout out Lady for that.
All right. D Money.
Yeah, most definitely. So shout out Lady again twice, right? Shout out Leslie for, you know, being behind the boards and taking care of the mics and all that stuff.
Leslie.
So shout out to Leslie. And shout out to Nito, my baby cat boy.
Yeah.
Cat boy.
Yeah,
Shout
cat
out.
boy.
Yeah. I want to shout out. Let's see who I want to shout out. Let's think about it. I want to shout out Leslie, Lady. I want to shout out boy TJ for coming through. You know, time is precious, so thank you for granting us some of your time. We appreciate that. I want to shout out Mike Taché for giving us the space to do this podcast. Without him, we'd probably be paying so much money for this setup. So, and I also want to shout out, a very special shout out to my mom. My mom is turning, I'm not going to say it, but
Don't say it.
her birthday is tomorrow. So I want to give her a shout out. She doesn't listen to the podcast, but it's the thought that counts. Birthday's tomorrow.
Her friend might hear it.
Right? You never know.
Yeah.
It might get around. This might go viral. You never know.
Yeah.
So TJ, man of the night, man of the hour, literally hour, right? You have any shout outs that you want to give out?
Yeah. I'll say shout out to y'all, to all of y'all for having me. And then shout out to all of our ancestors for making it possible for us to be here with one another. And yeah, I appreciate everybody's energy. I definitely have more energy than I came with. Not saying that I was low energy, but I got more energy. So y'all are definitely not vampires.
No.
There we go. I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, y'all. So that's going to conclude our episode. So once again, we're going to go ahead and highlight Divine Treats. All right, you can find this
At Naturally Herbs, or if you get in contact with me, I'll get you some. I can
right.
ship them or deliver them.
And then also we want to go ahead and highlight, that's just some stuff. Section 8, which is his book. You can find this on lulu.com and also in that same store.
Yep, Naturally Herbs.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you for viewing. Those who are coming back to view us, thank you for your continued support. And if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let's hit those outros, and we out.